Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be going over the latest Washington Commanders draft rumors, including the Washington Commanders likely having wide receiver Drake London as their top receiver in this year's draft. I'll also talk about another visit that the Washington Commanders have, and this time it's with a linebacker, and that's their first top 30 visit with a linebacker this draft process. So we'll talk about that and more. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. Hit that like button and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. And also go ahead and follow the Twitter. First link in the description. 10 followers away from 1,000 followers, so help me get there. Now, let's get right into the video. So we are 5 days away from the 2022 NFL mock draft, and this year I will be streaming the first round of the NFL drafts with Juan Gotti from Juan Gotti Talking Sports, so make sure you guys come through to that. I'll have more details about it in the next few days, but since we're so close to draft, there's a ton of different draft rumors, and some of the things are true and some of the things are not, and it's really hard to tell which things are true and which things aren't. But John Keim, usually pretty reliable, and he said on his podcast that he believes Drake London is the top receiver on the Washington Commanders board, followed by Chris Olave. So, not too surprising, but a little surprising that, wide receiver Garrett Wilson doesn't even crack the top two, because for me, he's the top receiver in this draft. A lot of people have him as the top guy, and to not have him in their top two, and maybe he's not even their third, who knows? I don't know. I don't agree with that, but again, I am not a GM or a scout or whatever, so, they are getting paid the big bucks to do this, so we're going to have to wait and see if they made the right evaluation, and who knows, this could just not be true. But I definitely buy the Drake London thing. They, went to his pro day. They also had a visit with him as well, and they obviously need a receiver, and a lot of people have him as the top or second receiver in this class. He's a bigger wide receiver, which is what Carson Wentz likes, a guy that can, go up there and get those contested 50-50, balls, and he can do that. So can Terry. Terry's not a big guy, he's not going to always moss people. He can definitely, but Drake London is what Carson Wentz wants, and he can get those contested catches just like Terry can. And even Curtis Samuel, if you go back to Carolina, he did a pretty good job with that as well. So that would really have three receivers that will help Carson Wentz a ton, gonna play to his strengths. And I like Drake London. I like him more than other people do. If I had to give you guys my receiver rankings, it would be Garrett Wilson 1, probably Jameson Williams number 2, Drake London number 3, and then Chris Olave number 4. I know a lot of people have Chris Olave much higher. I'm not as high on Chris Olave than I am, than other people are. I still like him. I wouldn't love the pick at 11. I would be okay with it. I would be happy though if we traded back and got Chris Olave. Let's say we trade back from 11 to 20, or somewhere before that, 15, 17, in that range, and we got Chris Olave plus additional picks. In that scenario, I would be pretty happy, because you get a solid receiver, one of the top receivers in this class, and you get some assets back from that Carson Wentz trade, and you go down a little bit in the draft, so it's not like you're reaching too much for Chris Olave. Because if we I think we're Chris Olave's ceiling. 11 is the earliest he could possibly go. Like someone like Garrett Wilson and Drake London, like they could go all the way up to 4, and it's not likely, but the Jets could use another receiver, and they could take him at 4. The Falcons also could take one of the two at 8, and who knows, maybe the Seahawks want another receiver if they are, I don't think they're going to trade DK or Tyler Lockett, but if they did, maybe they take another receiver. So who knows? Maybe Drake London's gone and Garrett Wilson's gone. Then it likely will be Chris Olave, unless Kyle Hamilton is there. And John Keim also said, I believe on the Kevin Sheehan show, on the radio, that if it's, Kyle Hamilton and Drake London, they would likely take Kyle Kyle Hamilton, which I would love. That's my number one player in this class in terms of not overall, but in terms of realistically what Washington can draft. It would be Kyle Hamilton at 11 because he can do it all for this defense. We've talked about a ton, so I'm not going to go into too much depth about it. But I think, he is one of the better players in this class, and he does play a position of need for Washington. That Buffalo nickel, free safety, whatever. He can help you out a ton. He can help out this defense a ton, and you can still find good receivers in the second round. There will be a ton of good day 2 receivers, and there'll be some good day 2 safeties, but not many, and they need maybe a safety and a linebacker. So if Kyle Hamilton's there, I definitely would take him over Drake London, Chris Olave, Jameson Williams. If it's if it's Garrett Wilson and Kyle Hamilton, that's when I'm going to be debating a little bit because I love Garrett Wilson, and either way, they can't really go wrong drafting Garrett Wilson or Kyle Hamilton, but it seems like Garrett Wilson isn't at the top of their board. Even though a couple people have mocked Garrett Wilson to Washington, I believe, Josh Norris mocked him to us, and Peter Schrager did as well. So, just something to keep your eye out on. And I did a video yesterday going through what each mock draft expert and analyst thinks the Washington Commanders will do. So after this video, go ahead and check that out. But you guys already know, most everything about Drake London. 6'4", 6'5", 213 pounds, 88 catches this past season for over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. Does have injury issues, which is a big red flag. He's the most games he's played is 8, so that to me is a little bit concerning. And his route running is better than people give him credit for. He's not super slow, but he's not as fast, obviously, as Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams, any of those top receivers. But I would be okay with. I would be happy with the pick at 11. Not ecstatic like I would be with Garrett Wilson or Kyle Hamilton, but I would be pretty happy with the pick. You look at Olave real quick. We've also talked about him a ton on this channel. About 6'1", 190 pounds this past season, 65 catches, 936 yards, and 13 touchdowns. So not as much production as some of these other guys, but he was in a pretty, the receivers next to him were pretty good in Garrett Wilson and Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's going to be the best receiver in the draft next year. So that is just something to consider. So again, all these things could be smoke screens, but it also could be real too, because I think John Keim, of course, is a very, very reliable reporter. So now on to the other news. The Washington Commanders had another visit. This probably was earlier, but they just got the news about it now. They met with Alabama linebacker Christian Harris, and that is the first linebacker that they've met in these top 30 visits. They met with some linebackers, I believe, at the Senior Bowl and the Combine, like I think Chad Muma. They met with him. They met with some other guys as well, but no top 30 visits, which is pretty surprising because they met with like 5 running backs, like 5 offensive linemen, like 4 receivers, 5 defensive linemen, and a few safeties, like pretty much every position except for linebacker and quarterback. I guess they met with they had a private workout with Carson Strong, and they met with a couple of tight ends as well. They just did not meet with linebacker, and that's going into the offseason. Besides quarterback, a lot of people had that as the top need, and we'll see if they address it, but it doesn't seem like they're going to spend a top pick at linebacker. Like, I don't think it's out of the question in the first round, and it's I don't think they're going to draft one in the second. I think it's more and more likely that they don't draft a linebacker in the second. So if they trade back in the first, maybe get a 3rd round pick, that's somewhere where maybe they take a linebacker. Like if Chad Muma's somehow there in the 3rd, Anderson, Beavers could be a 3rd or 4th round option for the Commanders as well. And if that's the case, they need to sign a veteran middle linebacker to at least be an option to start, because they don't have anyone on their roster right now that I feel comfortable with playing middle linebacker. I mean, I guess I feel comfortable with Cole Holcomb playing middle linebacker, but then you have a hole on your other side, and I would not feel good about it. Cole Holcomb in the middle is okay. I like him. I think he's better outside, but I would be fine with that. But then you got Jamin Davis on the outside, and you got Khalid Hudson on the other side. Just not good in my opinion. They need to add someone else, and a 4th round rookie isn't going to cut it. You got to add a veteran if that's the case. 2nd round is a little bit different. They're going to probably be more ready to play, but still a little bit concerning. So real quick background on Christian Harris. He is 6'2", 232 pounds. Played his college football at Alabama. Is a linebacker this past year. 79 tackles, 5.5 sacks. Two forced fumbles, no interceptions, has 1 interception in his career, so not really a coverage guy. Also had 4.5 sacks in 2020, so 10 sacks in his last 2 seasons, so can get to the quarterback, and 3 forced fumbles. Let's look at his kind of draft profile. Pretty quick. I mean, he ran a 4.44 40-yard dash, had a 35-inch vertical, which is pretty solid as well. Let's look at his, kind of overview, his NFL comparisons. Devondre Campbell, who is a great linebacker right now. Long, athletic inside linebacker whose strengths and weaknesses could make him a target for a move outside. Harris's lack of desired recognition will result in missteps and mistakes that could prove much more costly on the NFL level. However, he could thrive as a chase and hit, weak side linebacker where he can play faster. He can handle some coverage chores, but it's not his strong suit. Harris has the physical attributes and athletic ability to make plays as an eventual starter, but he might lack 3-down versatility. Probably not a great coverage guy. So, I don't know. He definitely intrigues me. Probably not going to be your true middle linebacker. So if you draft him, he's probably on the outside. You see the sacks he's getting, and he's not a great coverage guy, so he can probably be one of your outside linebackers, and then Cole Holcomb would likely be moved to the inside, and you have Jamin Davis on the outside. Their sources tell us that he's less instinctive and less physical than I'm used to seeing from an Alabama linebacker. Personnel director for an NFC team. So it seems like he's pretty raw, but I think they could develop him if they wanted to. I think he's a 2nd round guy, maybe a 3rd round guy. Don't know if I want to spend a 2nd round pick on a developmental kind of outside linebacker. And maybe they think he can play inside, but they also thought the same thing about linebacker Jamin Davis last draft. So we'll see, guys. A few days away. Tomorrow likely will be posting a video on my top 5 players that I want the Washington Commanders to draft at 11. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And I'll probably have one more mock draft before the NFL draft, and I'll do a live stream before then as well. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.